You are watching Parrotfish. Now please enjoy the video.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make me. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make me. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Hi there.
Hi.
Well, here we are again. Hello, Chris. EJ, nice to see you.
I can't help but jam to the music. It's catchy.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Hey, Chris. Glad you're here.
Let's talk about fish.
All right. Glory. Well, we're going to be slow getting the crowd together because I messed things up.
It happens.
Yeah, I had an announcement out and I wound up having to dump it because I set it up wrong. I have two other channels. You have a channel, Mary has a channel. I put them all on just because I could, and then realized that by doing that, I was creating a situation where, how can I put this? Anybody going on any of the other channels would not be able to participate in the chat. So,
Hey, they're coming in.
Scott
Hey,
here, Chris is here.
I
AJ's
love the name abolished. I don't know. For some reason, I love it. Hey,
Funny.
Scott.
Danang, hello Danang.
Danang. Hey, what's up?
Vanoxky, nice to see you. Craig Doniger, Craig's Catfish Cave. Howard Van Tassel is here. Hello, Howard. Happy to see you.
Is Van Tassel like Dutch or the Netherlands? I love
Yeah,
it
like that. Right.
I love the name when the last name starts with Van. It's very
Vaughn, right? Vaughn. It's like a form of royalty, I guess, isn't it?
Yes, I was thinking that.
Sort of. Oh, glory. Abolish is saying, EJ, beautiful tank. Yes, it is.
Thank you. It's going through some maintenance stuff right now. I've recently put some new leaf litter in the back, and so it's stained my water slightly teaish, and I'm okay with that. I'm leaving it for now. But at some point, I'm going to do a slight water change to clear it back up again. I don't need to do the water change. It's just, aesthetic.
Well, aesthetics are important, aren't they? Howard says,
for me it is.
He says, Belgium, back in the 1600s, the family were lords.
Oh, he is nobility. Oh, my.
How about that?
I should probably put my pinky finger up now.
Royalty.
I feel privileged. We're in the presence of royalty.
Oh, my. Glory. Yeah, I don't think any royalty was in my family. On my mother's side, she was a Parks, and apparently one of the park keepers for some king or other derived the surname because of managing the king's park, I guess. I don't know.
Well, your family came in on the original Jamestown, so.
That's right. Both sides of my family.
Both sides. So obviously they were looking for something new.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, glory. Well, let's see. What's been going on in the fish world?
In the fish world, I've been a little out of touch. Normally I like to, lurk in live streams, and I have been doing that, but I've had a lot going on at home. So instead of really participating, I just sort of listen and,
I spend most of my lurking. Right. I spend most of my lurking time on Discord, chatting with all the folks who are coming in with all kinds of questions, and we've gotten more and more. It's really kind of interesting.
I'm having so much fun on there. I really enjoy sharing. Yeah.
Anybody who's not been over there needs to come on over and join in. It's really a kick. Yeah. But particularly fun is having new guys come in, new people, and begin to learn the ropes, begin to figure out how to do this natural tank, and take it on and develop some skill, and then be able to help other people. That's been kind of remarkable.
I think I know what you were talking about last week in some of the videos you put out about water, because I'm definitely no expert at all when it comes to tanks, but as I cultivate my garden, my water garden, I get, I'm able to look at it and go, I can see something. Oh, I need to do this, or there's I don't know. It's just like, it's ready for new leaf litter. I can just tell. Or, I want to do I want to seed, add more microfauna here. I can just tell. And it's just it's just now becoming instinct. And it's happening with, on the tanks that I really focus on and that I'm getting good results from. And some of it's like, I try it and it doesn't really work, but usually I can correct it. And what I've been doing in addition to that, not everybody has to do it, but what I've been doing in addition to that is I have been using a test kit, because I want to be able to confirm what my eyes and my gut is seeing. Right. And to match it up so I can continue to learn. Yes. It's really fun.
Yes. Well, Danang, it's nice to get some new knowledge. I'm not sure how it relates to fish exactly, but you have a great retirement. Dad Mike. Hey, Dad Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Nice to see you. Whitefish salad. Heidi ho.
Hey, Gina.
Gina's driving and lurking.
Drive safe.
Drive safe. Bless you, Gina. Abolished. Been out of the hobby about a year. Able to help others set up natural tanks. And what I learned here, finally got a 29, ready to rock again. Feels good. Good job.
Yeah,
Good
you've got tanks that you're going to be setting up. You're going to be going through the whole process.
Yeah, that's right. I just made arrangements with my brother. We've got to do some reworking in the house. I'm going to bring in. I brought back with me the stand that holds the 4 29-gallon tanks. The stand is behind me in all of my videos in Florida. So we're going to set that stand up, put the tanks on it. They are all completely empty. So we're going to be starting from scratch with all 4 of them. And I need to decide whether I want to do one brackish or not. I may very well do that. Part of the problem is I have not gotten out to start collecting yet. It's just I haven't got myself organized well enough. I haven't been motivated to do that. I haven't found places to go yet. So it's just taking me a little longer than I had hoped to be able to get out and start collecting. I haven't even taken any long rides to find places. So,
well, I mean, you just moved.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
I don't know how long I've been here. I lost track. I think 2 weeks.
Maybe about that. 3 at the most.
3 at the most. But we are next week. We're going to be setting up the stand, put the tanks on it, and what that'll mean is I will move my my studio to have those tanks as a backdrop. I'm in the kitchen right now with this nice screen backdrop I've got here. But I really want to have those tanks. I had hoped to be able to do them here, but I'm in a really small place, so it's just not big enough. Let's jump back here. Scott's saying, EJ, saw your tub and has 2 questions. You want to take those on?
I do. So actually, let's go back to. I want to go back to the question, so I'm going to move up the chat. Yes, because all right. So the first day I have a very gentle, low. It was built-in pump that allowed the water to circulate in a very small way. And I found that after a day that what ended up happening was that it would take the warm water from up top and then move it to the bottom, therefore heating up the entire tub, which is not what I wanted. So I turned it off and I haven't turned it on since. And so I've got, the flagfish are in there and they're fine. I lost a couple of the golden mountain minnows because of that, because I was circulating the water when I shouldn't have. But that's okay. I'm just leaving it for now, allowing it to establish itself. The neighbors are absolutely thrilled. They just really enjoy it. The community is mostly retired, but it's not a huge party scene. It's people who enjoy peace. And they are just loving where it's at. It does get hot. I'm testing the temperature every day. I literally stick my hand all the way to the bottom. The top part is warm. The bottom is still is livable. It's cool. I need to actually put a temperature gauge in there. I've just been like testing it with my with my hands. Kind of like it's how I cook too. I don't follow a cookbook. I just do it. It has been hot, but the fish have survived, and the plants are growing like crazy. And I found a bunch more plants. I literally went through the garden and the terrace, and I found a bunch more plants that I know will survive with their roots in water. And some of them are doing quite well. Most of them are doing quite well, and so it's looking good. I am wanting to add more plants to it, But right now I just want to, let it be and establish itself. And when it gets a little bit colder, I'll probably try again with the pump. But right now, without that water circulation, but with the plants feeding it, like the plants at the floaters at the top are giving it shade. As long as the depth is, it's deep enough that the water remains cool. So far, so good.
Nice.
Yeah. The only thing is it is facing directly east, but it's a high, it's a small courtyard with a small pool, and it's surrounded by high walls and in huge buildings all around it. But it still gets pretty direct sun from the east, and so I know that as things start to cool off, it's going to really thrive. Right now, it's kind of what you would see in Houston, Texas in the summer, which is, you see it's hot out, but there's wildlife and they're thriving. But it's hot.
Right now. It's been nice here. It's overcast right now and has been several days. We've had a fair amount of rain, but it hasn't been terribly hot yet. Maybe one day. Let's see. Dad Mike said my dream job was to own a fish store. Lots of work. Maybe when I retire. The problem with that is you'll get about 5 good years in, and then it'll make you too tired. It'll wear you down. So if you do it, don't create a beast. Create something small and simple that you can maintain without a lot of effort. I'm thinking I might do it again. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to equate this to the restaurant business a bit. I have years and years ago a little bit of experience running and operating a restaurant, which don't stay as wait server staff. Don't ever try to take on a management role there. It's ridiculous. But when you go into a restaurant, the really good restaurants, they don't have a large menu. They have a dedicated menu. Then oftentimes you can use the similar ingredients. So I would say probably the most manageable type of fish store would be one where you focus on a niche. Don't try to do everything all at once.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Fair. So, let's see. Is it Danang saying? Are you saying it's detrimental to run a sponge filter in a plastic tub? She was simply talking about the heat issue, being outdoors in a southern summer.
Yes.
Where you want to try to have some temperature variation so that the bottom of the container is a little cooler. If you're circulating the water, then you can't get that. Sunset Jen, hello, good to see you.
Well, I want to add to that. So in Houston is built on a wetland, and so you're going to get large bodies of water. Some of it actually quite deep, but there's still waters, and there's lots of plants, and there's lots of floating plants for shade. And often there's a lot of trees and vegetation overhangs on that. And so because the water is not constantly circulating and it's deep, it's cooler on the bottom and it's warmer at top, and it stays that way. Now, the other way it could keep cool is like, say, a fast moving river system, but that's not the ecosystem here. And so when I was building that pond, I wanted to mimic what we already had. So I figured that was my best chance for success, especially in this heat. Oh man, I did a ton of research on that one because I was so scared about the heat.
Scuba Steve-O's Aquatics. Hello. Let's see, Scott Stankovich. We got 2 20-gallon tubs doing well under the porch, but over 100 for the last 6 days. Guppies are exploding. Second tub has a native sunfish. So, yeah, it sounds like it's got some shelter. So,
yeah,
you don't want a lot of direct sun in a real hot.
Yeah, well, I put in golden white mountain minnows. as well as the native flagfish. The native flagfish are doing well. The golden mountain minnows, that was a big mistake. They are cooler water fish.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but here's the thing is that I had them outside at one point at the beginning of the summer, and they did okay. However, it's a lot hotter now.
Hotter now, right?
Yeah. So eventually I'm going to put something colorful that swims at the top, but it can't be the golden mountain minnows. It's, I guess endlers or guppies tend to be hardy. I don't know, but I'll think about it.
We did get some Formosa today. Bioaquatics took a delivery of natives, pupfish, bluefin killies, Formosa, and mollies, self-in mollies. So he's got those available. You can order them through me, or he doesn't have them listed yet. It'll be a week or two.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be working through him to get the Florida natives out.
Yeah. I went to Salvation Army and I did grab a couple of shade cloths. So that's helping. That's definitely helping.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, right.
That was your advice, Father Fish. Salvation Army all the way.
Chris Trapp is saying, one of my blue Acara has a nip pectoral fin. This guy. Will it grow back? Should I set up a hospital tank or put it in a breeder box? Unless it's continuing to be nipped, you can leave it and it will grow back. Keep an eye on it. Make sure that the nipping was a one-of event and not something that's going to be occurring regularly. If so, then you're going to have to take something out of the tank, either the nipper or the nippy. Watch for bacteria. You'll see if it turns red or gets a little fuzzy, get some fungus on it. If the fin looks like it's deteriorating, at that point you'll need to take them out. But all things being equal, if it doesn't get worse, it'll get better. Let's see, Gina's Reef. You mentioned last stream about using crushed eggshell for shrimp. Do you crush the egg shell into a fine powder or keep it semi-coarse? It's better in a fine powder. You can throw it in whole. I mean, you can throw a whole egg in there. When you eat the egg, you throw the whole shell in. But it's not going to be as effective as if it's ground up fine. That will also make it possible for it to release carbonates to help hold your pH more stable. By the way, while I'm on the subject, we had an interesting conversation in
Discord
on YouTube today.
Oh.
No, some guys came on and they were talking about I'm looking it up and I won't be able to find it.
Okay.
They were talking about the whole KH and GH thing.
Yes. Seems like you started a trend.
Well, it was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, the one fella had a lot more clarity about it than the other, but they both had some important things to say. And the point they were making, and I want to bring this up because I think it's really helpful. I was saying last week, all KH is GH. In other words, all mineralization that contains carbonates it adds to the general hardness of the system, and that's true. However, there are KH minerals that do not do that. And one of them is sodium bicarbonate. So the bicarbonates do not increase GH.
Bicarbonates.
Carbonates
is
do.
good.
Carbonates do. Bicarbonates don't.
Okay.
So while it is not true that all KH increases GH. Some do and some don't. But here's the point of all of this. You get so in the woods with this stuff that you're just running down rabbit trails. So I find that it's really helpful to say to yourself, all KH is GH, but not all GH is KH. While that may not be true in every case, it is true enough, if you will, that it acts as a guidepost to keep you focused in the right direction. So not all truth is absolute, I guess, but sometimes it's easier to believe something, if you will, even though it's somewhat problematic, because it keeps you focused in the right direction. Don't know if that's making any sense to anybody, and I'm sure there are purists out there, myself included, who might take me to task for that, but there it is.
Well, in layman's terms, the takeaway is not all KH, like the takeaway is that there is KH and GH, but not all KH, not all GH is in KH, and sodium bicarbonates do not affect GH for the most part. Right.
Now, here's an interesting thing. The guy said his water has 300 parts KH and 0 GH.
That's no way.
So what he's saying is, I have alkaline soft water, which is an oxymoron. I mean, you can't have alkaline soft water, but here's the thing. KH typically is alkaline. Now, it is not the case in every instance that all KH is alkaline, but it's true enough to have it as a useful rule. Here it is again. There's some alkaline that is not based on KH, but not enough to be concerned about it. And you're not ever likely to run into it. It's like ick.
Unless you buy alkaline water at the store.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just the whole thing's just kind of strange.
Yeah.
So while there are lots of rules, none of those rules are absolutely absolute, but all of them are valuable and helpful for keeping you going in the right direction.
Until your instincts kick in.
And that's a whole other issue, isn't it?
Hey, George, I do want to say that I was looking into Medaka rice fish. There's a rare kind that if you look down on it is a bright orange from the top, and they're expensive, but once I get I guess you could say, once I feel confident, I would love to get myself some of those, because I think they actually would do well in that pond tub, patio pond.
Yeah, some of the guys in the Venice Club have got the orange Medaka.
I want some.
Them.
I want them anyway. So
they're trying to get more. Trying to get them breeding enough to be able to have some to sell.
Hey, Moon Boots.
I agree. The rice fish and the endlers are two really simple fish to keep that are so exciting, such variation, and so much that you can do with them. It's like we're at the beginning of the advent of the fancy guppy with rice fish and endlers. And we really are, because there's so much going on right now, and it's only been happening for a few years. Not like guppies that 50 years ago were like that, where people were beginning to do things with guppies that turned them into these glorious creatures.
Yeah, I don't really want to do guppies, except, oh, I heard about this panda blue, like this brilliant blue guppy. I've seen pictures of that. Those are really pretty.
That's the Japanese, yeah. They have a green too that's nice.
Oh,
they call them grass guppies.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Denning said his KH was 13 due to the rock dust I added to my organic soil. That was a battle I worked on and am still. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, you put stuff in the soil and then you cap it with sand, and then, then you find yourself going, oh, I got to compensate for this or that. But it's, like I said, this tank's established. Like, it is established. I have to, at this point, it's maintaining it. So, but I was talking to Mike earlier this week. My pea puffer tank is still getting established, and so the parameters are not quite as stable. So when something happens, like the KH drops, because there's I put a lot of peat and driftwood in there. So the pH was dropping and the KH was dropping. The fish were fine, but I'm like, okay, I need to overcompensate, put some bicarbonates in there, just kind of like help it get more established. This, I put some peat and some leaf litter into my 75, and there was some changing of the KH, but overall everything was still stable because it's more established.
Denang, thank you so much for the super sticker. And he says, are killifish really super territorial and gonna bully everybody else? Depends on the killie, but it depends on the killie. A lot of them are. Most killifish people keep killies in species only tanks. They do better that way, and they will spawn and typically be able to have a generational tank with babies in with the parents, particularly if you've got some cover in there. Rickia, for example, is a particularly good cover for killies. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I had some of the big mummy chug killies, which is about a 5-inch fish. It's a brackish water killie. It's all over the east coast of the U.S. I had them in with mollies and a few other things, and they did fine until I put a grouper in, a little, and he ate them all. They were 4 or 5-inch fish. He ate every one of them.
Groupers got big mouths.
I tell you, I was shocked. All these big fish disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, I love the original red swordtails. I don't see them anymore.
There are people doing swords where more and more people are wanting to get back to the swords.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
I remember the tuxedo sword when I was a kid. It's a red sword with a black tail.
Me too.
And they are gone. But there are people bringing them back. It's a strain that's bred, and then if you don't keep it, if somebody isn't maintaining it, it disappears. It doesn't occur naturally. It's like a fancy guppy. It's there only for as long as somebody is keeping it there.
Mm-hmm. Verily says her endlers wiped out. We lost the chat. Wiped out the Bloody Mary shrimp in my 5-gallon, or the scuds, not sure, or both. Okay, so I will say that the scuds are detrimental to shrimp simply because of resources. They compete for essentially the same thing. They don't eat necessarily the shrimp, but the endlers will eat the babies. So it could have been a combination of both.
So Snake Plissken here is violating God's laws.
Who?
Snake. He bred blue Acara with paradise gouramis.
Oh, I bet that would be an interesting combo.
I'm sure he did not do that. He's talking about having bred both species. So he just worded it in a funny way. and I thought I'd catch them on it. But that's really cool. Blue, the Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Paradise is one of the most stunningly beautiful fish there is.
The Paradise?
It is wholly unfit for habitation with any other fish. It is the meanest dude you could put in a tank. They are terrible. They're violent.
But I hear they love Hydra.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gourami, you know. Gouramis are big on Hydra.
Yeah. So the planter I used was how deep? It was pretty deep. It was. I'd have to take exact measurements, but it was like, you know, it was at least 3 feet deep. I think getting close to that. I would say.
2 feet anyway. Yeah.
What? Yeah.
2 feet at least. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, at least 2 feet. I think it was closer to 3, but it was somewhere in there.
Chris is saying, I've seen adults occasionally grab a shrimp. And I guess he's talking about
the scuds.
Scuds, I guess.
I've never seen that. I've never seen the scuds going after a shrimp, but I have seen other fish go. Well, I don't know. I mean, a couple
he may be talking about something else. Let's see.
He might have been talking about the antlers, but I will say that about a week ago, I have this canister filter in my 75, and I just took out all the biological stuff, but I left the coarse sponges, because why not? It's the same as a sponge filter. You just use sponges. Well, I took those sponges out, and they were completely saturated with both baby red cherry shrimp and scuds. I couldn't even get them out. They were both coexisting and eating the detritus. They were coexisting together and looking fat and happy. It was a mess because I'm like, oh no, what do I do with them? I'm not putting them back into the canister filter. I'm going to put new stuff in there so that the scuds can continue to breed.
Right. Baits and genetics. Hello. Nice to see you. Chris George. Hey, Chris.
Yeah. Verily. Yeah, I think I sent her plants. There's a good possibility that a couple of scuds hitchhiked, just FYI.
Right. Did you say paradise fish? The first thing I kept. Craig.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I bet that was fun.
Well, you know, it's really a great fish to keep. It's easy
gorgeous.
To keep with the betta. They get a lot bigger, of course. They'll get 4 to 5 inches with these immense flowing fins, the males at least. I mean, they're stunningly beautiful fish.
I haven't gotten any yet because, well, I have community tanks. I haven't dedicated anything to. The only tank I've dedicated to species only is the scarlet batis, which I'm going to have to break down and see what babies I have, and then probably separate the males, the male and the females, so they can kind of miss each other for a while. But yeah, that's the only species only project I have. I did the Everglades pygmy sunfish that you sent me. The two, we thought one was a male and one was a female. They're both male. They don't like each other, but it's a 20-gallon tall, so there's plenty of room.
Let's see. Scott is saying the canister was dark and all the food was traveling directly to the shrimplets and scuds.
Yes.
24/7. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what it was. And you know what? I'm going to keep it that way. And I'm going to clean it out occasionally and get more. Like, I could literally, if I wanted to right now, somebody says, hey, I could use a scud culture. And then I could take one of those sponge filters out, shake it up, and send people a bunch of scuds. And and there you go. There you go.
Discord
I don't even have to do a separate tank.
Somebody on Discord was asking about scuds. Now, you've been able to get together a system today is day 3 or day 2 of the green water in
Day 2.
in the dark. Day 2.
Yes. Or actually, hold on. Let me check my phone because I put it on the schedule. So on my calendar.
We're trying to see if we can ship green water.
Yes.
And she's got some in we got a bunch of new little containers.
So I have officially need to put the green water in the sun. So hold on one second. We'll do it here. We'll do it live. So I put it in the dark in a box. I put 2 samples.
That's been in there 3 days now.
It's been in here 3 days. I put 2 samples. One is just straight green water, filtered green water, because you want it pure. And then the other one I added just a touch of fish food fertilizer, and to see which one would do better.
Okay.
And we are going to see.
Oh, Craig bought 6 peppermint plecos. Oh, they're green. They are as green as grass.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, this is the one with the fish fertilizer. I think there's a slight difference. This is still green. This is slightly greener than that one.
Yeah.
Very slight, but I think enough,
but
to give it a fighting chance.
Both of them, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, probably 5 days, and that clearer one would have maybe disappeared. But that's pretty good. So now the darker one, is that the one you
with
put
the fish food
in?
Yes. Yeah, because I've got plenty of fish food that I'm never going to use, that flake stuff.
So that made a difference. That's interesting.
Yes. Now, when I'm going to put it outside for the next 2 days, and you and I have discussed this, I'm going to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the lids, but I'm going to put some sort of cloth and secure it with an elastic band. And so it's going to be in the hot sun with, it's breathable, but nothing's going to come in. Should I add another touch of fish fertilizer, or should I just leave it?
No, you can. It won't hurt. It'll if you do it consistently with both of them. Yeah. Yeah.
And that will be the second part of the experiment.
Now, you don't want to put them in the hot sun, though, because you don't want to cook them. It could boil them. It's just the tiny amount of water. So put them on the patio.
Okay. I have a sunshade on there, so they'll be fine.
Be perfect. Yep. Nice. Now, show us the containers again. We just got these containers.
Yeah, if you want to know the truth, I got them from a medical overstock supply. So these are technically containers that people use for urine samples.
Right, and they're waterproof.
That's why I got them, because
okay, and you got 50 of them.
100, I think, or something.
So,
crazy number.
Yeah. So you're ready to ship, and there's a little box that the post office provides. It's a 4x4 little cube that you can get free, and it'll cost like $9 or $10 to ship it, and you can put 4 of those containers in it containing green water, scuds, Daphnia.
It's not urine. It's not urine, I promise. It's green water. It looks like urine, though.
So we're ready to hit the decks with that one.
Yeah, I think we got something here. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up my StreamYard on my phone, because I want to show you my stock of green water. Just the stock. I'm still in the process of moving it around. So if you give me a few minutes, I will leave and then come back.
Hi, Crystal. Nice to see you. Glassbox Hero. Hello, Fanaticals. Fanaticals is here. I lost my cover. That's the refrigerator back there. Who else is here? Kenny D. Hi, Kenneth. I know Frank tried to call me. I don't know if Frank's online. Hello, if you are, Frank. Frank is in the Everglades right now. He's living down there. Let's see, who else? Sunset Jen. Moon Boots. Moon Boots says, get an LED from the dollar store to put in the box to ship. Could do it. It might overheat. Here we are. We're back.
Oops. Yeah, I am. Hold on. I need to turn the camera around. All right. So I'm in the process of reorganizing my room, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are still in the process. And then my mother tank.
Okay, and that's all green water.
That's 100% green water.
Okay.
10-gallon tank of green water that I just used to create more green water. And then I didn't tell you this, but I have a slight experiment with this one. I don't know if it will work or not, but this
with a lid on it.
Well, no, it's actually cloth. It's cotton.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is actually green water with a concentration of salt. I want to see if I can grow something grow a green water salt concentration of some kind.
That's good.
Yeah, and I added plant.
Going. If you can do that, the next thing is to get roticulture and then start feeding the salt green water. You want it approximately a brackish level, about 0.12 to 15 along in there.
Yeah, I don't have a hydrometer yet. It's coming, but at this point, I'm just eyeballing it and like experimenting. So
nice.
it's because that's what I do.
Greg Doniker bought 6 peppermint plecos. Lady said she thought it was all males, but he's got 3 males and 3 females. That's pretty exciting. And the peppermints are pretty cool. So you did really well, Craig.
All right. I am signing off to go back inside. One more look at my very, very green tank. Like, it's dark green, baby. I love it.
It certainly is, isn't it?
Yeah. I can replicate it, but I love it.
Now, when you get back, I want to talk about what you're doing with that green water.
Gotcha. All right. Signing off. Be right back.
You bet.
Hold on. How do I end? I don't want to end the broadcast. Kick me out. I don't want to end the broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. EJ has fish fever, Denang says. Doctor, what is the cure? Yes, she does. As do we all. Got a terminal case of fish fever. More tanks, Greg says. That's the cure. Right about that. Yeah, Craig said he bought an LED that could burn things down. Oh, I know. They can get hot. The power source gets hot too. That's the real problem. Sunset Jen, famous fanaticals, you bet. Who else is here? By the way, do you like the music background? That's a new feature that StreamYard just came up with. There she is.
Hey, I'm back.
Yes, nice to see you. So, what are you doing with all that green water?
Oh, I just want to see how many I can make. I keep getting these water jugs because, sometimes I like to use the spring water for to mix with the Daphnia cultures. So I'm just going to see how many. I have got a whole balcony full. I might as well see what I'm doing.
So you're feeding it to Daphne, yep.
I am. And you know what? I have a couple of Wallstead bowls. Essentially, I just sort of like, hold on, I'm having difficulty with my mic. Okay. So I have a couple of like bowls that I put a bunch of plants in and like, you know, put some sand over a small amount of soil and, you know, a little bit of fertilizer. And then I just put in, you know, like shrimp, essentially. And somehow in the course of that, I've seen blackworms and other things. And so I've seeded it a little bit with green water just to see what would happen. And something keeps eating it. So I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just seeing how long it could go.
Right. Daniken. Hey, Daniken. Stephen P. Hello, Stephen. Kenny's here.
Hey. Oh, I'm going to put the...
Am I getting back to myself? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the samples down. I need to you know, put cloth over them and stuff.
That's really good news, though. That means we can ship them without losing the culture. That's a big thing.
Yes, and then people can actually have a starter culture and then, you know, end up having like, you know, 10 bottles of green water on their balcony. I mean, right?
Well, you know, it's a natural food also for things like brine shrimp or blackworms.
Yes.
Or it's a single cell algae. So anything that's going to eat something that tiny, even baby fish will eat green water. They'll eat single cell algae.
Oh, and then I have this.
That's right, brine shrimp net.
No, it's not. It's so I got this silk.
That's your tie, isn't it?
Yeah, I got the silk tie and I cut up a fish net and I just sewed the silk tie, kind of made a net with it.
Look at that. Perfect.
So that's how I strain the green water. And then sometimes I see a bunch of organisms, and so I'll actually, instead of like tossing the organisms, I'll like, you know, shake it out over either my blackworm culture or, you know, even sometimes I did that with the with my fish tank earlier today. They just went nuts because there was a bunch of scuds that shook out, and so there's a tiny bit of detritus and it went in with it, but that always disappears in like, you know, a couple of minutes.
So what she did there was she bought a silk tie, happened to buy a $200 one from Salvation Army for $1 or Goodwill.
It was Salvation Army.
And then cut it up and made a net out of it. Silk is the finest weave. It's fine enough to be able to filter out down to about 5 microns. So it's pretty fine. I've got some containers here. That's what these are. Can you see that? This one, yeah. That's a 5 micron. And that's comparable to her silk tie.
Except mine cost like, I guess the fish net originally cost like $1, so.
And this cost $15, so.
I won this round.
I would say so.
Look, Chris has an idea about putting a fish in the green water culture, taking it on a plane. I guess when you're transporting a fish. I don't know. Chris, help him out.
I would not do it. And the reason is that in the dark, plants absorb oxygen. So they're going to actually, it's counterintuitive. Whereas in the light, plants provide oxygen. In the dark, they use oxygen. Ooh. So if you're putting a fish in that and putting it in an enclosed container, you've got two things living in there, both of which are going to be O2 dependent, and it could actually suffocate the fish. So counterintuitive. I think it's a clever idea, but it's like a lot of things. When you think through it, it ain't gonna work.
Now, at night, when the lights are off and the plants are no longer absorbing oxygen, are no longer emitting carbon, but they're absorbing the oxygen in the water, it's still a significantly small amount.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not substantial by any stretch. But in a closed container in the dark for a matter of what could be days, it's a different issue. The point is, it's not going to be beneficial for the fish to do that. It is beneficial in your tank or in a container on your patio.
So that's open to the air.
Algae water. Yeah, that's beneficial. But not if it's something that you're doing as a way of supporting the fish as it's being shipped. That won't work.
But the fish in clean water with bags and oxygen in the bags, they'll be fine in that.
Right, exactly.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Fish in a bag allows you to carry more liquid on a plane. The life signifies it's non-caustic or not explosive. Well, that's absolutely right. Can I use my smalls? Fanatical. What are you referring to, fanatical?
I wonder if he means snails.
Yeah, maybe.
I've, if anybody wants some ram's horns, both the red, blue, and regular variety.
They're real easy to ship. You know how to ship them?
Nope, but I can learn.
Easy. You wrap them in wet paper towel and put them in a small plastic bag or a small container. And they'll last in there for a week or more.
Okay.
It's an easy way to ship them. You do not need to ship them in water. Simply wrap them in a wet paper towel.
I would want to put some structure because, I don't trust the U.S. Postal Service. I mean, they could crush them.
Well, you want to put them in a container, a plastic bag, like a sandwich bag. Or a small Ziploc that's got enough air in it to keep from, some smashing.
Gotcha.
That'll work.
All right. Peplin says hi. Fanaticals. Every master breeder has green water, so I know what to do. I still haven't been able to be totally successful, but I think there's more to it than that. I think it's I need to actually start removing parents and to let the babies go.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Crispy is saying, I grow my fancy goldfish in green water. Also, on some sick fish. Yeah, goldfish love green water. Goldfish are a filter feeder. They're poking around on the bottom all the time. Snake plissken. Are there any plants my Africans won't eat? Waterless, duckweed, and many types of floaters and guppy grass. Swords, jungle val, and Java. The trick with Africans is to have it heavily planted. You don't want to do a little bit. You want to do a lot. And you want it to be a coarser, denser, heavier plant like Sagittarius or many of the swords. Or for that matter, something like crypts or Anubias.
Thick roots.
Yeah.
Hardy roots.
Java fern. Anything that's a tougher kind of plant. There's some plants they won't eat. I don't think they'll eat Java fern. I don't remember.
Yeah. I know that scuds actually do like Java fern. So it looks like everybody's good on the snails department. I have 12 pea puffers. So I you know, every morning I literally I don't have to culture snails anymore. They're everywhere,
Right.
everywhere. So every morning I literally take a fish net and I just dip the front of the tank and I just take out like a whole fish net full of snails and I dump it in my pea puffer tank. And that's it. We're good. And the killifish that are doing well, by the way, with the pea puffers, are doing very well. They eat snails too. I suspected they would, but they definitely eat snails as well. So it is.
I like all the bits and pieces too.
Yeah. Yes.
Liberty Bell cichlids. Hello, hello. Nice to see you, Chris George.
Mm-hmm. So
our aquatic universe with Mike B. Nice to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Glassbox Hero.
I love Glassbox Hero. His songs are awesome.
Yes.
Let's
see. Glassbox is saying the problem with African cichlids is they're super curious. Anything new, they're going to tear apart. Best to establish the tank heavily first and then add them. Yeah, and you don't want to put a whole lot of them in there either. I mean, people tend to want to glut a tank with Africans. They do better. Frankly, they do better as species tanks, but not many people want to do that, particularly with umbunas. Tell you what I recommend is Tanganyikas. Tanganyika African cichlids in species tanks, or even multiple species with certain classes of fish, are magnificent tanks. And they don't tear plants up hardly at all. And they're delightful. They're smaller. They're not nearly as aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And they will spawn for you. I mean, they're really wonderful, wonderful fish. We should do a workshop on Tanganyikas. It's a fish that not nearly enough people are excited about and working with.
Kevin's here. Hey, Kevin. Still working on the Scarlet Batis. Still working on it. And it's okay. It's all part of the experience.
Danang wants to know what kind of killies you have.
It's on the... You're going to kill me. It's something to do with the minnows. You sent them to me. Remember? And I sent you a picture because you sent me a bunch of fish when you were moving. And to the point where you didn't even know what you were seeing.
Bluefins. Yeah. Bluefin killies.
No, not the bluefin killies. They were green with iridescent colors.
Okay. Yeah, the golden top minnow. Is that it?
Yes, that's it. Yes, I remember that. Yeah. They again, it's all about aesthetic, and they match.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Tank. They did. So that was so I have Stephen. I have this tank. I think I've talked about this tank before, Stephen. I know that you've mentioned. I've even probably discussed it with you in one of your chats or something. But I've got coolie loaches in there. I've got pea puffers. I've got the killies. And I've even got some Amano shrimp, hill stream loaches. And what did I just put in? I just put in autosynclises.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because there's a lot of biofilm on the driftwood. It's a huge driftwood tank. And the autosynclis is just having a lot of fun.
Oh,
in there. Yeah.
Fanatical says, I'm thinking of changing my big tank to a dirted tank. Do you recommend adding supplement before capping? If I do, that's a good question. It depends on how you want to do this. If you want to empty the water, then yeah, you can mess around with the substrate. If you don't want to take all the water out, then simply cap the whatever substrate you've got there now. You can always freeze soil or minerals or whatever and push them down in there once you've got the cap on it. But you can empty the tank and recharge the substrate by adding supplements and minerals and humus and whatever, and then cap it with sand and refill it. Or you can simply cap what you have there now, which likely contains an enormous amount of nutrients and will probably be adequate for you to be able to achieve the balanced environment that a deep substrate provides. So you don't have to empty it. You can simply cap what you've got, particularly if it's been set up for a year or more, then you're already going to be in good shape. If you've got an inch to a couple of inches, even if it's gravel, cap that with sand and you'll be good to go. You can always add stuff later if you want to by using the frozen technique, but generally you don't need to.
Yeah,
the pea poppers eat MTS.
The what? What's he asking?
The pea poppers eat MTS.
Malaysian trumpet snails. So
yeah.
I threw a bunch of Malaysian trumpet snails in there before I added the pea puppers. Which, by the way, if you're going to introduce pea puppers to a tank, do it all at once. When it comes to the species of pea puppers, don't put 5 in here or 5 in there. What you can do if you buy 5 and then buy another 5, you need to take them all out and put them in a separate tank just to introduce them and do some rearranging. But essentially, they have to be on equal ground when you put them in. I digress. Point is that I'm pretty sure the Malaysian trumpet snails are still alive in the pea pupper tank. They bury in the substrate. Their shells are a little bit harder. And hey, I'm happy with that. So.
Killies with peas, Stephen said.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what else?
Yeah, what is your holdup, Aquatic Universe? Why don't you have killies yet? Yeah.
Well, there, Doctor. The cutie is EJ.
Oh.
Certainly not Father Fish. Happy to
I
see
think
you.
your beard's very cute.
Right. Joe said, "Oh, it's Father Fish." Right.
Kevin wants to know about other dwarf cichlids in his 75 and 2 pair of Bolivian rams, maybe pair or single male of Apistogramma.
Bolivians get a little bigger. Apistos are pretty small by comparison. What you might want to do is go with Geophagus. Some of the smaller Geophagus particularly, they're not at all aggressive. They're about the size of the, Bolivian ram is another one. What did he say he had?
He's already got 2 pairs of Bolivian rams. He wants to know to know what else he can add.
Yeah, I would go with Geophagus. You'll be real happy with them. There are a lot of species of them. So there's a lot of variation. They're enormously attractive fish. They don't get huge, like 4 or 5 inches, about the same as the Bolivian. And they're not aggressive. They'll do real well together.
How are they for plants?
Oh, they're great. They're a bottom feeder, but they don't stir things up. I mean, you can keep them in a deep substrate tank because they'll only go after the top ½ inch or so. But they're a fish that takes in a mouthful of sand, churns it around, filters out the algae and little bugs, and spits the clean sand out. But again, they don't dig. They're not going to root down in there to tear up your dirted substrate.
Well, what I like about the Bolivian rams is they're omnivores, so I can literally throw veggies and live foods or frozen, because it does tend to sink into the tank, and they're happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Gina's Reef. Hey, Gina.
She's nice back and ready to chat.
Right. All right.
Yeah. This is a good question. Crispy wants the opinion on things like parrotfish. Well, what do you want to know?
recently had a dozen platinum white parrot fry given to me, which are growing up well so far.
Mhm.
They get big, but they now I'm not sure what you have. Let's look at some pictures here.
Yeah, I would just like to say that Crispy sounds like they have arrived at a point where everybody knows you keep fish. Everybody knows you have the resources for more fish. And so they're just going to start dumping fish on you. It's like, instead, it's like you build it, they will come. I've been getting that lately.
It's a very cool fish.
Uh-huh.
It's a very cool fish. Let's see.
Put it up on the screen.
Yeah, let me put it up. Here's a tank that has, see the white one?
Yeah, how big is that tank? I'm gonna hide that comment.
29 or so.
White parrotfish. Hey Vibes, what's cracking?
It's got convicts in.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. This is not working real well.
Oh.
Go back.
Just say a couple of keywords and maybe the NSA will up our internet connection so they can listen in. That's a terrible advice. People don't do it. Maybe. Oh, yeah, Crispy's got somebody trying to give him, sorry, Crispy, man, red dragon flower horns. Oh, actually, that sounds like a really pretty fish.
Well, again, they get big. The parrotfish, parrotfish you can keep. Let me get back here.
Mm-hmm.
Parrotfish you can keep with other fish. It is a hybridized fish based on morphology. And the morphology, the reason they call it a parrot is because the mouth is disfigured. It's kind of in a bow shape, if you will, almost a V shape.
Those aren't natural. Those are specially bred, right?
Well, yeah, it's a morph. It occurred. Somebody liked it. They bred some more, and now we've got huge strings of them. But because of that, it's not aggressive. It's normally a relatively aggressive fish, but because its mouth is incapable of biting another fish, it doesn't. So that makes it an acceptable fish for a community tank. It does get big. I mean, they'll get softball size.
Mm-hmm.
So they get big, not basketball, but softball size. That's like 6 to 8 inches. They get pretty good size. The same with a flower horn. The difference with a flower horn is it'll reach the point where it will be necessary to keep them by themselves. Otherwise, they're just going to kill each other off. Now, here's a trick. If you've got a little group of baby flower horns, grow them up together. Once they hit 2 to 3 inches, they will start pairing off, and you'll be able to get spawn and be able to have babies that way. You can breed them, then you want to pull that pair out and try to sell them. Get somebody to buy a breeding pair of flower horns, because you're not going to be able to keep them for long.
2 for 1.
They get big and they get very, very aggressive.
Now, I actually saw a video earlier this week by Ohio Fish Rescue. Josh was showcasing one of his really large tanks where there was a bunch of large flower horns in there. And he was saying how he was able to make it work. He did say it was tricky. And frankly, the tank was huge, huge. Everything else.
You know, the secret to aggression is numbers. But fish are like chickens. Okay. If you ever raise chickens, then you know that there's always somebody on the bottom of the pecking order that everybody beats up on and eventually kills. And that's kind of the way it is with flower horns or with any other very aggressive fish. You can keep a large number of them together, 6, 8, 10 in a big tank, and they'll do fine. But there's going to be one little guy who is going to be, he's going to be the goat. He's going to be, everybody's going to beat up on him. And if you take him out, somebody else will take on that role. So it's kind of a losing proposition. But you can do it. You can do it, and you can get away with it.
Sure, like in, you know, a 1,000-gallon tank. Fanaticals has a question. I have it highlighted.
If capping with sand, what would be your preference? I do like natural colors, but some recommend black. Any pros and cons? I don't think there really are any. I had somebody send me a comment today. Turns out there's somebody in Florida, I think, is crushing glass into sand and selling it as colored sand.
That's not good, I don't think.
Well, I think it is, if it's fine enough. I mean, that's basically, you know, it's locking up silica. Silica has sharp edges. Now, it'll have to be pretty fine, because if it's not fine, it's going to have cutting edges.
Right.
So, but it sounds doable. It sounds reasonable. And the reality is that after a relatively short period of time, bacteria will colonize it, every surface on it, and blunt the sharp edges.
Okay.
So it's going to work.
Biofilm.
Yeah, it's right. And the benefit of glass is the same as silica. It's a lot of flat edges. It's not round, in other words. So it's got more surface area than something round would have.
Silica is the most plentiful material out there on the planet Earth. I learned, ask me how I know. I'll tell you, I took a university class of materials.
True enough.
Yeah. Verily wants to know how soon she can put her snails back after treating with no planaria. Hey, no judgment here. That's the way she wanted to go. So let's talk to her about it.
Well, you're going to have to do water changes because that chemical stays in the water. It doesn't dissipate. It doesn't go away. It's there permanently until you remove it. So you've got to do water changes. I would do a 25% water change twice a week for a month. You could do it every 2 days, but twice a week, 25% for a month. That's going to pretty well dilute it. You'll never get rid of all of it, but you can dilute it down to the point where it won't be a problem anymore. This is the main reason a lot of hobbyists don't like to use chemicals, because they stay in the water. They don't go away. And they will eventually kill all of your microfauna. So to get rid of them, just do regular water changes. But do it regularly, routinely, and you'll be able to get things back to normal. Glassbox Hero. Yeah. Glassbox Hero, dark colors bring out darker colors in fish. Red colors make your fish lighter. A natural red substrate brings out the most natural, pure color in fish. They have natural camouflage and adapt. Nice job, Glassbox.
Yeah, that's why actually I like black backgrounds, and I do that with most of my tanks.
Yep.
Oh, Fanatical. I think Glassbox Hero and Fanatical suggest also adding carbon for a little while. That will help filter out some of the planaria. That's what they're suggesting.
Carbon helps. The problem with carbon is that unless you buy a very expensive carbon, it doesn't last very long. It does absorb, and it'll absorb chemicals. But if it's a cheap carbon, it's only going to do that for maybe a day. And it's not going to absorb much. If you buy the more expensive carbon, which is simply a charcoal fired at a higher temperature, it'll be able to absorb more and it'll last maybe a week. Mm-hmm. The trick with carbon or charcoal, the trick with carbon is to replace it regularly. Don't just leave it in there because it'll take in enough, it'll begin releasing it again if it's in there long enough. So you want to get it to absorb whatever it is you're trying to get out, remove it. If you put it in a bag, a filter bag, and put it where water is flowing through it, that's the very best way to use it. And then pull that out once, if it's a cheap one, every couple of days, dump it out, put fresh in. If it's a better quality, dump it out after a week and refresh it. If you'll do that, it'll work, and it'll work effectively. But it does take some paying attention to it.
Sounds expensive too.
Yeah, it is. It is. But it works.
But it works. Chris Trapp, hey, I think that was something he asked last time about putting the 55-gallon stands for 75.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, he said he got an inch of foam and an inch of wood board and pushed them together with his two stands for a 75-gallon. That works fine, and you can even bolt them or screw them. You drill holes in the metal frame, you can screw them to the board to make it really solid and stable. But that works fine. Danang.
He's got jokes. He's got jokes.
Thank you. Yes,
He's
we
on
both
fire.
got it. We did. You ever played Santa for the holidays? Hollywood should call on you for the next Aquaman movie. Oh, that's really.
Yeah, he's on fire tonight.
I have, and I love it. I love it. It's
Hey.
great fun.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get a job this Christmas doing Santa. I don't have a costume, but we'll see.
I'm sure you'll be able to find one.
I think so. Yeah.
Hey, Mexicali. Hey, Kenny E. I don't know if I said hi earlier. And it's my large. Okay, so she's done, I guess, the carbon so far. It's in her large brown water shrimp tank. So a month until I add snails back. I guess she's just wanting to confirm what you were saying about changing water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Danang, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated. Never required. But Father Fish has, made a big move, and it's expensive. So glad he's there. Glad he's safe.
It's burying me. I'll tell you. It's amazing.
Well, I can't wait to see the greenhouse.
All internal change every 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got 9 liters of it on offer. Good deal, Fanatical.
Mm-hmm.
Mexicali, fish keeper. Good to see you.
I saw Mexicali on Fishy Viz Hot Spot.
Okay.
He did well. He did well. Loves his wife. Big fan of his wife. I am a big fan of men like that.
Cool. All right. What else we got going on here?
Oh yeah, Fanatical. We've got some. We got some stuff. So I've got. Oh. I put carrots, boiled carrots, in my tanks for the first time. I've tried different types of vegetables, but I hadn't tried boiled carrots before.
Carotene is wonderful for color.
No, I've done sweet potatoes, which has the same ingredient
in it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but carrots is a new one, and oh my gosh, the shrimp went nuts. They just went nuts. It was fun to watch.
Chris Trapp, I'm using established year-old sand substrate to start a new 75. A little cloudy. Should I do a small water change or leave it to settle? Leave it to settle, particularly if you got a sponge filter in there. It'll clear up by morning. It just, yeah, it'll be just great, just fine.
Yeah, sponge filters make really good mechanical filtration. I've been impressed.
They do.
And he is confirming.
Yes.
Yep.
You bet.
Love it. Love it. Sounds like she supports you in your fish addiction. So that's even bigger of a win.
EJ's got exactly the same kind of deal. She has a guy who's totally supportive of her, and she's a wonderful wife to him. So they have a very deep and rich relationship.
At first he thought I was crazy, but it was kind of more in okay, this is new, what's going on? And then, next thing you know, we're sitting in front of my fish tanks and I'm pointing out the different personalities, and he's like, what's this one? And look at that one go. And I'm going, yes. Now I just have to get him to build a tank. Or baby steps. Baby steps.
Right, there you go. RZ, any advice on adding wood, branches, sticks to an aquarium? It's always good or not, inadvisable in some cases. What are benefits? How do we select? We've done a lot with this, and I think I've got some videos on it. In general, wood is very beneficial in virtually all tanks. However, you do not ever want to use green wood. You want to make sure it is dead, that it is dried out, or if it's in water, that it is thoroughly waterlogged and rinsed out to the point where there's very little kind of hanging on it. There's a difference between softwood and hardwood. Softwood is going to break down in your tank. Not necessarily a bad thing. If it's old, aged softwood, it'll give you a black water tank, and it's wonderful for that purpose. The key, I would guess, is if you're going to collect wood from the wild, the best way to do it is collect it from a water system, from a pond or a creek or a stream. Rinse it good to make sure that you don't get a lot of dirt, I guess. Make sure it's well aged. You can tell by looking at it. And then put it in a container for a while and just keep an eye on it to make sure that it's going to be okay. Then you can put it in your tank. Do not try to boil it. Do not try to dry it out. Don't do anything like that. If you're concerned about it, put it in a separate container like a bucket or a barrel outdoors. Watch it full of water. Watch it for a while and then move it into your tank. It will contain a lot of living material that will be very beneficial for your tank. So you don't want to boil it or burn it or dry it out or whatever.
Well, I found, okay, so in my courtyard, there's a bunch of azalea bushes. And I think I've talked to you about this before. So I found a bunch of dead branch. They look like spider branches, like they're perfect. Now they're dead, and they're dried. So I would have to, and they're somewhat, I guess they're somewhat delicate. So I'd have to soak them for probably at least a month. But I think they would be perfect. They're hardwood. So I think I could do something with it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Where are the odds? I mean, where else can I find spider wood style wood for free?
Naresh is here. Hey, Naresh.
Hey, good to see you.
Gino, any treatment suggestions for goldfish tail blood streaking? That's, oh boy. Generally, it's a pH problem. If you have blood streaking, your tank has become acidic, and it's creating a pressure problem. You want to transition the fish into hard alkaline water. You can pick it up and take it out and plop it in the other water and it'll be fine. Get it out of the water that it's in, because the water is causing the problem. Get it out of that, put it in new water. New water from the tap, new water from wherever you get your water, well water, whatever, and it'll resolve the issue. In virtually every case, the water has become too soft, too acidic, and that happens because of the biological activity. With goldfish, you have a lot of biological activity. If you're not doing regular water changes, that water is going to become very acidic, and it'll reach the point where it'll start burning up the fish, literally. It'll become so acid, it will affect the fish, and that's likely what's being done there. You can stop it cold dead in its tracks by taking the fish out and putting it in brand new water. It's not going to hurt the fish, it'll help the fish.
Okay. Hey, so Chris George says he's the fish person in the house, and he's slowly, bringing his wife in. Oh yeah, man, slow. I've gotten to the point where my husband doesn't notice when I bring new tanks into the house, because Petco dollar for dollar gallon sale. He hasn't noticed yet, so woohoo. Gino has a follow-up question about that. He wants to talk about the pH.
How do I
We literally talked about that earlier in the stream, and I'm actually dealing with it on a less hazardous scale.
The best way to do it is water changes, provided your water has a high pH to begin with. Mm-hmm. You can add carbonates to it. The problem is, once you start doing that, then you're really stuck for it to be able to do it on a consistent, continuing basis. If you're getting a drop in pH, if your water starts out at like 7.5 and drops down to 6.5, do a water change, get it back up. You can add bicarbonate of soda, you can add carbonates, it'll bring it up. You're going to have to monitor it after that, though.
Yeah. I used baking soda in a pinch, crushed eggshells. I do have a mortar and pestle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Crushed oyster shell, crushed coral, a Florida rock, which is ancient coral. Any of that's releasing carbonates.
What about the sand that is often sold? It's like that cichlid sand that is often sold to help.
What's that? It's charcoal. It's carbon.
Yeah. They sell it specifically for cichlids.
Yeah. You can buy it for reptiles too. It's sold for reptiles. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Put a thin layer of it in. Don't put it in thick. You want a thin layer of it.
That would more or less allow the tank to maintain balance again, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Argonite, Denang says that'll work.
Yeah. That argonite, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I wrote Dondrum also, but tends to be bigger. I don't know. I don't know what rhododendron is. God help me, I can't do Latin names.
Okay, we're at 9:30, guys.
Okay.
And Lucas is up. I assume.
Is he up?
I don't know. Let me look. Lead attorney, Amazon Research.
I do like him. He's got lots of. He's a hot mess, and he's fun to bond and connect with.
Jarbo Comedy, and down to Father Fish.
Yeah, Johnny knows aragonite. Yep, Johnny at Dan's Fish knows. They've got a really interesting setup. It's like all their fish are in a river system, a fast-flowing river system. The way they do water changes every day.
No, I can't get rid of my notifications. I'm gonna have to go check. Somebody check and see if Lucas is up. I'm sure he is. I just looked at my notifications, and he did not show up.
That's weird. Oh, yeah, nope, he's there. 7 people are already watching. He's up.
Okay, well, let's get out of here and make room for Lucas. Thank you, guys, for coming up and being part of our little party tonight.
I liked his music. It's a good jam.
You like, yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
I listen.
yeah, the background music is something new. Yeah, I like it too. It's not intrusive at all.
I can't help but move to it. ADHD, you know. So and like I would do it as I'm like, you know, it's something I have a jam to while I'm cleaning tanks or
Well,
gardening.
we can try a different tune.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that next week. But it was great talking with you guys, and thank you, Father Fish. I learned a lot.
Good. Nice to be here. Good to have everybody here. Bless you all. See you Sunday night with Mary Page. And have a great and fishy weekend. Bye for now.
Bye.